Keys to the Commonwealth, a podcast where we share the real stories of local community members who are using real estate to build personal wealth, along with tips and tricks from professionals across the industry. And now, your host, Landry Fields.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Keys to the Commonwealth podcast. As you know, I am a real estate investor myself while also working in insurance, and we try to tackle all the different topics related to real estate to help you learn about real estate investing if you have not done so or are in the middle of or thinking about it. So my next guest today, though, we're going to take another stab at a different topic here. I think that you can get your eyes open real quick in this, but for this particular topic as it relates to real estate when you're first getting into it. But her name is Sarah Bridgewater. Her and her husband Paul own Bridgewater Inspections. They're located here in Nicholasville, but service all over the state. Really, sometimes ceases to amaze me sometimes how far they'll go out and so forth. But it is my esteemed pleasure to welcome Sarah Bridgewater to the Keys to the Commonwealth studio today. Sarah, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about how did you and Paul get into Bridgewater Inspections or inspecting homes, or I think it's just residential right now, right?
Correct.
Okay. It's residential homes. And so they've worked with us, some of our properties for me and my business partner in inspecting and so forth. And there's a lot of things that come with inspecting houses, I know. So how'd you all get into it?
So my husband, Paul, was a commercial refrigeration contractor and in the construction field in general for about 25 years. Mm-hmm. And then I own and operate two other businesses, and I just truly enjoy managing businesses and people. One day we were literally just talking about something that we could do together, a business that would work for both of us. And he just said, I would love to be a home inspector. And we started talking about it. And literally the next day, he's online and scheduled to take the home inspection test here in Kentucky, the certification test. And it was about a month out, and he was studying for it. And next thing I know, he's calling me. I passed the test. I'm like, you're kidding. I mean, he just,
this is a reality now.
Yeah, he flew through it. So he truly loves doing home inspections. He's just very mechanically inclined and loves talking to people. So when he goes through the inspection and the different points and what you can do to fix things or not fix things, or why it's on the report in a red label or green label, he loves going through all of that. So anyways, that's what led us to starting this, and it's just been a fun adventure. We've met the best people ever since starting this. All people moving to Kentucky from all over the country. Because you're not
originally from Kentucky, right?
No, I'm from California.
But you have fallen in love with Kentucky.
I love Kentucky.
Yes.
This is my home. It always will be.
There you go.
Yep.
I know. That's
love
awesome. And we've known each other for quite a bit of time, and it's been a pleasure, obviously. And it seems like you're always finding new things or people and introducing me. I feel like you've been out around here for 20 years now, type of thing, in some respects. It's awesome.
It is. It's funny. It's like this is, in a way, it feels like this has always been my home. And my parents still live in California, so I'll go back to visit them. And within a day, I'm like, I can't wait to go home. I love it here. This is my home. It's just awesome. The people here are so kind, and that's one of the first things I fell in love with. So I
think I saw a study. We were rated the nicest state in the union. So
I'm telling
you,
I believe it. I lived in California a long time, traveled all over with work, and I mean, literally, I've probably been in 30 states working for different things, and Kentucky's the best.
Yep. So, home inspections.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of real estate investors out there are buying homes, like myself, and so forth. So, what's going on at the home inspection? What are you looking for? What goes into the process there?
So, through the state of Kentucky, you have to do a 14-point inspection, and there's definitely 14 items that he has to hit for standards of practice. So he will go through each thing, like example, plumbing. You have to check the functionality of faucets, toilets, anything related to plumbing. So that's going to be itemized on the report. And if there's no findings, it's not itemized on the report. It's only going to be a finding. Okay. For inspectors, for investors, and if you're looking at a rental property, one of the things you definitely want to look for are going to be patchwork, without a doubt, because they're going to repair and patch and fix things to the point of their satisfaction, but they're not going to
cosmetically they look
absolutely.
okay. But
it's such a common thing when when we're hired to do a rental property.
Yeah.
So that was one recommendation for sure that Paul and I had talked about because he's on an inspection today. So I said, what things do you want me to hit on? And he said, oh my gosh, rental properties. if you see patchwork, I guarantee you like a roof leak that was not actually repaired or fixed. So things that are aesthetic, really, you want to look out
going
for.
Going back to the source a lot of times, like sometimes the what was damaged may be fixed, but maybe not necessarily the source correctly.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I want to point out that obviously you and Paul are really a team in this because I know it's
I love it.
He's out there a lot, but you're out there a lot sometimes too, even under crawl spaces and so forth as well. So you're very hands-on with it as well.
Oh, I love it. I truly enjoy going out and helping out. I say I'm his helper. I really am his helper in that sense. But there's been leaks that I have found, and that literally were in crawl spaces that he's in the home.
Yeah.
And I'm going, walk over here where I can hear your feet. And I'm texting him. And I said, okay, I hear the leak now. And then it's kind of like you wonder, okay, if I wasn't here, one inspector, how would they find that leak? Because it was really a hard leak for me to find.
Yeah.
And then once I find it and he turned on the faucet and we found the leak, then he can come down and go, oh my gosh, it would have taken another person being upstairs, turning the water on and off for this leak to be found. So I enjoy it. And it's been so interesting. I've learned so much about homes and just the function of the home. Like it's amazing how one thing can affect the other.
Sure.
And I'll even start telling him, okay, this is this, or and he's in amazement because he's been in construction his whole life. He's like, you're awesome. He's very supportive. So it's fun.
So 14-point inspection, obviously, but. As a real estate investor, I don't think necessarily all 14 points really apply in some respects. So obviously we had a couple of ours done.
Right.
And go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
So obviously we're not looking at like cosmetics for, in some respects when we're talking about some of these things like, okay, we're going to update the office cosmetics or flooring. We might update some of the flooring or others like that. But, as far as those main points that are highlights, what are you all going through looking at?
You want the functionality of the home, air conditioning, heating, electrical, plumbing, of course, the roof. So the main components of the home for it to be functional.
Yeah.
Carpet is not going to be something like a stain in the carpet. That's not something that's going to be noted on the report.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, we have had many inspections where the homeowners haven't been to the home. They live in another state.
Yeah.
This is very common, and they have not physically been in the home. So then you wonder how important is a crack in tile. They haven't seen and walked in and seen it yet. So that's super important because Paul will do like a FaceTime walkthrough and just briefly visually show them like all the different aesthetic things in the home. Sometimes they'll say none of that even matters. We're repainting and we're going to tear out the carpet anyway.
Yeah.
But sometimes it does. So that is super important to go over all that. Now on functionality on floors, if you're going to see, or if you do see something that's not level, because you will see unlevel floors and there's going to be repairs that are going to be needed, that's super important to notate on the report as well. So it truly, Landry, it depends on what is important to the buyer.
Yeah.
It really does. No matter what, he's going to hit the items that are the functionality and the 14 points that the state of Kentucky requires you to do.
Yeah.
But then it is going to be what the consumer is really looking for.
And sometimes even for those that are if it's a home flipping kind of side of things, even if you're just person buying it, I think it's even more important one of those because sometimes, like you said, if it's home flipping, not everybody out there does their due diligence or on that side of things, or is obviously trying to maximize their profit, which I get. But for example, I had a client who was buying a house and they had to back out of it because the inspection finally really realized that there was a termite issue with a lot of
wood destroying insects. We can't say the T word.
Oh, you can't say the T word.
It's okay. Wood destroying insects. It's so clever what you have to list.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
No, but that's important.
Yeah. And so, that obviously that they had to back out of that deal. The house looked beautiful, right? I mean, I even saw the pictures, but it's all those things that you don't see lying below the surface that can make major impact either now, or can lead to obviously much bigger issues down the road type of thing.
Oh, and that's so true, especially in foundations. I can't tell you, we've gone into several where I'm on one crawl space on one end of it, and we'll flashlight it back and forth. And you find so many issues with foundations. And it's if you aren't getting a home inspected and someone's not looking out for things that go in a crawl space, you could be in for a world of hurt after.
I mean, a big part of foundation, I think, obviously, a big one. Roof is going to be probably
plumbing,
HVAC.
HVAC. Those are the 4 points. When we've had, I was going to say, you being an insurance agent, those are 4-point inspections are much less detailed because you're not doing the whole entire home. Mm-hmm. But it would be good to have, because even if you've owned a home 5, 6, 7 years, you could get a 4-point inspection, and it'll let you know if your roof is ready to be repaired and if there's soft spots and things of that nature. Or the HVAC, is not functioning properly. You could get an inspection. You can know what needs to be fixed on them or just maintenance on them. Maintenance is a huge word. Maintenance, keep up with things, like keep the rain gutters clean and do annual maintenance on different things in the home to keep your costs down, and obviously for you to help keep insurance claims low.
Because I mean, not to dive into that necessarily, which we need to at some point, but the insurance claims wise, that's a misconstrued understanding, I think, sometimes when it comes to insurance, in that people are usually more worried from a consumer standpoint on the size of a claim.
Right.
However, the typical rule of thumb that you probably want to err on towards is thinking at it that insurance is more worried about the quantity of claims, not really how big the claim is. Obviously, I mean, it definitely sucks if it's like the whole house burned down and stuff like that. Yeah. It's a massive claim. I get that in some respects. Most of the time, that's not the case, obviously. Most of the time, it's going to be something with damage-wise. It might be $5,000, $15,000, $30,000, $40,000, whatever type of thing. And so really, it's the quantity of claims that is what, in that 5-year window, is what really starts driving insurance prices. Yep. A lot of people start declining you and so forth. So, and that is part of what I think I'm echoing as far as what you said, as far as maintenance and so forth.
Right. And so again, you could do a 4-point inspection as a homeowner whenever and hit those very, very important parts of your home.
So 4 point, just to refresh, 4 points can be plumbing, HVAC, foundation, and roof.
Roof, yes.
So what's some of the common things you see with those then?
Roof, you're going to have soft spots. I can, I'll watch Paul go up on a roof, and I already know before he even notes it. And then he'll walk it, but I can see him walk, and I can see a soft spot. And then you go into the attic, and then you can see the lake. I mean, you just know, like, you start with the roof, walk it, and I know as soon as he goes in the attic where he's going to go in the attic because of where the soft spot was. But then he'll also take drone pictures, which are extremely helpful. Yeah. Especially when it snows, that's even more helpful to get those drone pictures. But so definitely with roof, you can see soft spots just by him walking the roof.
Really? By walking at it, you can't just see it.
I can see him walk, and then he'll go down.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't see it like standing up there. He starts in one corner and just works his way around. And then rain gutters, of course, I don't think people think of this enough, how important it is, A, to have rain gutters, and B, to keep them clean, because water is so damaging. Yeah. So get the rain gutters cleaned as often as you can, or just keep an eye on them. And then after that, make sure that they're draining properly. Yeah. Because buildup of water will cause foundation problems, mold, all kind of issues.
Yeah, I think it's one of the first things I learned about when it came to like owning my first home, as far as like the idea of getting the water away from the foundation. I mean, I never thought about that type of thing. But exactly. Yeah, over time, that can lead to more or less foundational issues and so forth, which, God forbid, there's foundational issues, because then that's a whole heap of a mess in that sense. And as a rule of thumb, foundational issues are not generally covered under insurance. So
good to know.
You can't really make a foundational issue claim in that sense. There are that's usually more of a movement of the earth scenario, and so that is you want to stay away from that at all costs type of thing. And there's things you can do to help if some of those things happen, or some cracking and stuff like that. For example, like basements and stuff like that. As an insurance advisor, like somebody has a basement, I know there's a coverage that I'm going to require them to put on there, or not. I mean, I don't have to. I can't require them, but I'm going to say we need this coverage.
You're going to advise them because you're looking out for their best interest.
Because usually for me, a lot of times, if there's going to be claims, a lot of times it's either going to be, especially in rental properties and all the real estate investors that we work with, insure roof claim from a storm. It's going to be a plumbing claim, or it's going to be, if there's a basement, a part of the plumbing aspect of it, which is sewer line claim.
Right.
And which the sewer line backs up, and there's a lot of basements in Kentucky, obviously.
Oh, tons.
But it's, if sewer line backs up, where's that water going? It's going to the lowest point it can back up to and flood. And if you have a basement, that's where that's going to happen. And if it's a finished basement and nothing is covered, the entire damage, everything that happens, nothing is covered in walls, floors, bathrooms, personal property, yada, yada. Nothing is covered unless you have that on there, type of thing. So that's another one of the things that we're always want to watch out for.
Very important.
Yeah. As far as that, I mean, what are some of the crazy things that come to your mind? Obviously, there's a lot of stories I know. I'm sure you've got countless stories of things you have found. But, some per our conversation today, what are some of those things that
I wouldn't say crazy. We've had a lot of fun ones because we're both animal lovers. And so anytime there's pets, they seem to just follow it. Animals know. They know. So we've had dogs, cats just follow us nonstop through the entire inspection. But the craziest thing, where I could say, I think more funniest thing, but Paul, a huge snake. I mean, he was walking and he had his iPad because he's doing his, inputting his information. And he almost stepped on it. And when it slithered away, and I mean, it was probably, I'm going to guess maybe 3 feet in length. Good size snake. I mean, he jumped a mile. Oh my gosh. It was pretty funny. But nothing like crazy. I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I've seen it all. I don't know what else to say. We've been in very old homes. We've been in new homes. So nothing crazy, just funnier stuff.
A couple other points are obviously a lot of people that maybe moved here or are starting to invest here and stuff like that don't realize that we have an issue in Kentucky with radon or know what that is. So talk to me a little bit about the radon. And obviously that's usually more an over a time kind of scenario, but it still could be a scenario where, it's something to at least note or be aware of.
Oh, definitely. We should all know about radon. So radon is an invisible, odorless, and radioactive gas. It comes from the decay of radium.
That just sounds terrible.
It does.
Invisible, odorless,
you
radioactive.
You can't detect it. Like, can you imagine if we're all using our basements, like a lot of people do for, it's like their game room and TV room, and that's where you're hanging out the most. That's where it's going to be the most prevalent.
Yeah.
So it is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. And we have it for sure here all over Kentucky. So we can test for it. We have a radon machine that we put in the basement, or it doesn't have to be a home with a basement. You don't have to necessarily have one.
Yeah.
It just in any common room in the house, like a dining room or a living room. And it just needs to be plugged in and not touched for 48 hours, and no opening and closing of doors and windows during that period of time.
Right.
And it will read the levels of that room for 48 hours. So the EPA in Kentucky, or the law in Kentucky, is if it's above a 4, that remediation is recommended. So we will get that report back and let you know what your readings are. We do get some, or have had some in Lexington that have been in like the 7s.
Oh, wow.
So at that point in time, there definitely needs to be a decision made.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be
7, 10 being the highest, or
10, I believe 10 is the highest, and 4. So anything above 4 is like
already bad.
Yes. So, but again, we've had 0s, we've had 2s, but the highest has been that. And
do you see any rhyme or reason as far as sometimes like it's
a lot of the older homes, and then I do see like certain areas that seem to pop up more when we do them. More
like certain areas of the Central Kentucky side of things.
But it's a great report to have. It's very reasonably priced to do one. If you do one at the same time of an inspection, we even discount it. And I think it's just for peace of mind more than anything.
So I know we have for radon mitigator or whatever it's called.
Right, that's
kind of thing here.
Right.
In my house personally as well, kind of thing.
That's great that you have that.
Yeah, that was already installed, so I was very thankful for that. But
that's wonderful. I would almost wonder if people would just have that done already. In the newer homes, they should probably.
Yeah,
already
I've
install them
noticed
to
that. They
begin
don't
with
really.
because it's so prevalent here in Kentucky. Why wouldn't
Yeah.
you? You know?
I agree. I mean, as far as real estate investors go out there, sometimes they don't, they're kind of either well educated in some respects or they think they know what they're looking for. But as far as what are some of the signs that you're like, okay, maybe there's more of this going on here that we should really have an inspector come take a look at. Again, 4 Point, it's not very expensive at all to come take a look and
not
deep dive.
expensive at all.
That could
And those
go a
are
long way to kind of like looking at all kinds of facets. So what are some of those big highlights that you see or would say to look for, from a real estate investor?
From an inspector's perspective,
If investor's walking through a property, like what do they should be looking for, or what are those signs? They're like, hey, I need to call and let's take a closer look at some of these things.
Oh, definitely. So it's the way Paul and I think about it is, if this was our home, if this was our investment, what would we want to look at? What would we want to know? So without a doubt, the most costliest things is going to be the structure of the home.
Yeah.
Because any foundation issues.
Is that we're going to be there's like parts of floors that are not level or
definitely
sinking? It seems like
absolutely, because that's going to cause you issues with your windows, everything. If you think about it.
Yeah.
So you're an investor looking at it. It's going to be what is going to cost the most to repair or replace: your roof, HVAC, and plumbing. Without a doubt, those are going to be major issues if you have to do any replacements.
Yeah.
Or upgrades, or but over time things do need to be done. So you're going to have to look at it going. There's a lot of homes here that are and rental properties and condos and so on and so forth that are older. Yeah. So those are going to be the first key things to look at. And if you are buying something that's older and you want to own it long term, you're going to probably want to put that investment into it right away. So then the next step is to go and get the next estimates that are going to be necessary, like roofing and so on and so forth, which we could gladly. We work so many of contractors in this industry. That's probably one of our number one questions is, who do you refer for roofing? Do you like them and why? And we go, yes. And then we have our go-to company that we've always had just great referrals or great feedback from. So that's another thing with home inspecting. We're a great referral source for anything that you need done at your home.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And so that's a good point. And like I said, we've had you on a couple, and the process has been great, which I wanted to point out too with you all. It was very easy. It was like, here's when we're showing up. Here's, we had a detailed with pictures, like report that we can kind of save and we go back to. It was a very efficient whole process. And that's what I appreciated about that.
Thank you. And we've been told that I think that us being a team is super helpful because people are working and they're busy. And then I'm the one updating them saying everything's going great. Or, hey, we have a question about this, And so that's super helpful. And I think that the way Paul does the reports, it's easy to read. It's either it has an issue and this is what the state of Kentucky specifically says needs to be fixed about it, or you make the determination. Yeah. So it's very user-friendly.
And I was going to harp on the last point real quick again, that most people I don't think realize with insurance is we do look at the 5-year window and on many times we could at least see in that 5-year window claims history on a property. So that is sometimes something to note that could go well with pairing with whatever inspector found or something like
Definitely.
that type of thing. Or, hey, maybe we found this could be something. And so that could be sometimes an answer to some of those pieces of the puzzle about the history of what's been going on there. So definitely note that with your insurance agent to kind of maybe ask about that sometimes, because we can see, like I said, anything within usually pretty much most properties, or at least residential type of properties.
That's very interesting to know. Thanks.
Yeah. Not being from Kentucky, though, what's one of your favorite things about Kentucky?
Oh, my gosh. I'm an outdoors person. I love to hike, so I'm at the Red River Gorge pretty much a lot. As much as I can. It's my favorite here in Kentucky. And then any weekend or any early morning, that's where you'll find me with one of my 2 dogs. I can't take 2 at the same time. They're too strong. But I'll take one and I'll rotate.
Very good.
Hiking for sure.
And then what's some of your else favorite comfort foods? Or I know Paul's pretty active with cooking,
the
right?
Traeger. Oh, my gosh. So he just did queso last weekend. Oh, that's
on the grill?
On the grill. It's so good. Really? And he mixes it up from time to time and makes it a little more spicier. It's delicious. He's definitely, I call him the grill master. I joke around that that's the real reason I married him, because he's such a good cook. But
I know I'm a very addictive personality. I know one day I want to get into it, but I know once I do,
you'll love it.
It'll suck me in.
I'll be
on YouTube channels and everything.
All these different recipes and the things that people make. I go, I'm going to try that. It doesn't always sound like it would taste great, and then it does. So it's amazing stuff out there.
And now, because I kind of know there's two things I want to point out here, but one thing first, because I know what it is favorite purchase of this past year, because it's so unique.
It is unique. I didn't purchase her.
Okay, well, okay.
But that's why I wrote. I really didn't purchase Piper, but my dear sweet friend from junior high owned a huge ranch in Cali, and they sold it because they're moving to Kentucky. So she had a time frame to get rid of. I hate saying get rid of the animals. Right. They butchered a lot of the cows, of course, and what they normally do because it's a working ranch.
Sure.
But my daughter, from a very young age, always loved her alpaca. Just loved her alpaca. And so I get a phone call one day. You're getting the alpaca, and I'm like, are you kidding me? For real? I mean, I really, and I'm so Californian in ways that I actually called the city of Nicholasville to see if I needed to register my registration fee, because you have to register your dogs and cats, in California. And I'm like, do I need to register?
You have to register even your dogs
every year out there, and then they keep track. Anyway, so I didn't know what the rules were, and the city of the gentleman I spoke to just kept laughing at me with all my questions. I felt so stupid, but I wanted to make sure that I could legally own an alpaca and he just cracked up. But so we have a beautiful alpaca, and her name's Piper. Yeah, and she is probably our third dog, really, because she really thinks she's a dog at this point. And she just follows you around wherever you go. And she's just the sweetest animal I've ever met.
And you don't live on a farm, just so people know, which is the best part about this. It's kind of a neighborhood alpaca here in some respects.
Oh, gosh. The neighbors bring over, on Easter Day, we had a knock at the door. Can we have our family picture with the alpaca? Or and she'll just stand there. She's so easy.
That's funny.
And then the next neighbor brought over grandma to take a picture. We're like, this is, it was so neat.
That's awesome.
It really is a neat thing to see how much love this animal is getting. It's just crazy. But she's the sweetest. So.
Well, good. I still have to meet her sometime and bring the kids over.
You have to. She's so cute.
Last question, though. Because I know that 4-point inspection is pretty cost effective, but how can they get in touch with you or some of those things as far as anything they want to do with that?
They can call or text me anytime. My number is 859-202-1049. And then I'm very active in social media for the business. So on Bridgewater Inspections on Facebook or Instagram, you can message me. I'm very quick with responding on there. And if anyone just has questions, just call me. I mean, there's so much that goes into a home inspection, and I will share my knowledge and little tips on things, because it is stressful. Buying a home is stressful. It's exciting, but it's stressful, especially when how busy we are with work and everything else going on. So knowing people that know a lot about buying and selling the home, insuring the home, I always refer people to you. Just if you have a question, please just call him. Just reach out to him because you know so much. Or inspecting the home, and we can definitely give ideas, hints, things that we've learned. There's so much that goes into it. Yeah. So just talking it through is always helpful.
There you go. Yeah. You're one of the nicest Californians I've ever met.
Well, that's a huge compliment.
There you go. There's a couple others. We've had several. You're actually the third person on the show that's from California, and they're just finding their way to Kentucky, and
how could you not? It's so beautiful here. Awesome. But then in a way, I don't want them to come because I want it to stay the way it is. I want to be I just love the little town feel of Kentucky. So, but you can't stop growth, and once people figure out how much Kentucky has to offer, you can't really stop it. So.
Well, thanks everybody for listening to another episode of the Keys to the Commonwealth podcast. Make sure to subscribe and check back next week for another episode. Sarah, I appreciate your time and coming on the show.
This was fun. Thanks.
To learn more about this podcast, visit our page at keystothecommonwealth.com. To connect with Landry regarding insuring your investment portfolio, email Landry at novainsuranceGroup.com or call 859-687-2004.